Just presenting my screen. We're going to pick up the topic of quality management and vendor collaboration. While we are at it, we will look at SLAs, SLOs, OLA, SLA design for IT, InfoSec, quality planning, vendor management, scorecard, dashboard, QBR, cadence, some of the case studies also. We'll look at differentiating between SLA, SLO. So ideally, when we're talking about quality, we basically talk about we have a purpose. There is a certain goal, and we want to understand if there is a proper fitness to it, there is a proper quality to it, and there are no issues associated with achieving the purpose with which we actually got started with. And when we are into quality management, we primarily want to focus more on the prevention rather than inspection. So by putting in the right amount of right controls in place, we are trying to avoid any kind of mishap that could actually happen at a later point of time. ITIL has focused on SLA, which is the customer, OLA for the internal purposes, and the UC for the suppliers. There are risk lens when we apply its from standpoint of impact and the likelihood. Um, and then give me a moment. Then some of the basics of the SLA are it's a contractual commitment with remedies and the credits. So if you see over here, SLA is like a legal binding contract that specifies the service quality. SLO is a goal or a target for a specific for a service quality. If it's for internal performance, and SLI is a metric for measuring the service quality. So it's diagnostic and monitoring purposes. And yeah, SLA, I'm sure you may be doing this. This has elements of the maintenance windows, force measure, what kind of actions needs to be taken when a certain trigger goes off. There are businesses which run for 24 by 7, and if in case something breaks, what kind of measures that one might be needing to take. There is a SLA metric here. It has focus on core API, payments, auth, security, backup. Um, you can't do SLA without a metric, so you need to identify a metric
Abdul, I guess you are talking on mute. You're not getting your voice.
Yes. I'm really sorry. I think again this happened. Could have. Okay, I was taking you through the SLA basics. So here we were talking about I was talking about the contractual commitments with the remedies, and we try to decipher this based on the type of agreement. If SLA is focused on the legal binding, and it's an agreement with which you have information about if in case there is a certain failure, and these what are those um, contractual things that get into action. SLO is internal focused, and SLI is more for the purpose of an indicator. We try to diagnose, and we want to look for areas of improvement. SLA metric is there. There are different based on the type of service that we have a focus on. We have metric which is associated with it. SLA is meaningless without a proper metric to which we are measuring towards. And next thing is what is be our target metric number that we are actually looking at. So availability, we are looking at 99.95. If we are not achieving that, then in that case it is, or rather 99.9. Otherwise it is leading to a failure. We are not able to it is leading to downtime for the system, and that leads to a downtime for the business goes down together. So we don't want to get to that stage. So the same thing with even maybe payments as well. Payments have to be up 24 by 7. The response time, it could be that okay, from we want it in less than 60 milliseconds, I would say. I think it is, or 60 minutes, I think it is, for some tickets per se. Okay, this is for 60 minutes. So that way we can actually define these tickets. We can define the service tiers as well as part of the SLA with gold, silver, and bronze, and accordingly we know which what business impact are we trying to derive from this. So you can when you're putting on the quality hat, you start segregating it based on the primarily the business impact per se. I will show you. Then there is root cause analysis that we do. We look at five eyes, fishbone. We were talking about earlier. I think one of you just mentioned about fishbone. Then Pareto analysis can also be done. Fault tree, event chain for complex outages. Casual loop diagram for systematic issues. Kappa with owners, due dates, effective checks after implementation, RCA library. So these make a whole lot sense when we are actually doing your quality planning. When you're doing a quality planning, things can go wrong, and if in case something goes bad, you want to do a RCA to figure out what where where the breakage happened and what are the measures that one has to be taken. Kaizen, we saw it yesterday or day before yesterday. It was with the focus of actually continuous improvement. This is again something that we can do in slow and steady manner. Then compliance and audit readiness, that we can do this on a periodic basis. That should be when it is being done, it will be done by the a concerned person, maybe from the SQA, and they will have an audit calendar. There will be readiness drill which may happen for a project maybe once a year or something like that. And vendor management operating model. So you look at what the roles are there, what kind of governance comes into picture, what kind of RACI metrics you can come up with, so that there is no weakness in how the it is being operated. And contracting and commercial, you look at what are the different ways by which you can get the contract done. It could be fixed, it's TNM, managed services, outcome based. So many of the engagements are fixed in TNM. Managed services are lesser compared to that. Budgeting and forecasting with vendors. We can have different cost models to operate. Then collaboration rituals and QBR. I'm ignoring these because I don't think that's coming in your bucket at the moment with respect to pricing, which Mukesh was just mentioning. So I'm just skipping these. Budgeting and forecasting again is something that you may not be doing right now, may not be part of your scope at the moment. So you can ignore this. Collaboration rituals and QBR. So how often you will have a cadence. It could be a weekly connects that you can have. Joint roadmap and delivery, working with your tech team and prod team to ensure that you're meeting the deadlines. You have a clear cut definition of ready, definition of done. By doing these, we basically are trying to say that if we do this, we are able to ensure we are building a quality product, right? Then I'll check out some of the templates which we have once again. So we'll take a couple of case studies. There's one case study which is with respect to uptime SLA breach. So the breach has happened, and 99.95% SLA missed twice. Then 6.95 latency is greater than the target. So RCA, we do an RCA to figure out why did it happen. So we learn that by doing the RCA. It could be fishbone or it could be 5Y, that we learn that deep pool misconfiguration is there, or there is a noisy neighbor workload, something like that. And there needs to be an action that needs to be taken in order to fix it. After you've done that, you add it to the pipeline and monitor it how it is looking now, once after it is actually fixed. Vendor kappa is like 30-day plan to earn back credits on for 60-day green. Okay, it is just more to do with planning. Then what kind of metric will you be measuring? We want to be up all the time. The availability needs to be at the highest. So basis that you can actually measure. Evidences you need to provide with respect to saying that okay, the changes, let's say it's done. Then what are the lessons they have learned from this? So this sort of gives you an idea with respect to how will it look like? So imagine you have parameters which are defined as part of the SLA, and they get triggered, and after they get triggered, you not want to know why it happened. So that why is your RCA, and after the why you plan to fix it. After you're fixed, you're trying to look at how you could ensure that this maybe doesn't repeat again, so for which you have like lessons learned. There are cases where you when the audit is happening, you want to share the evidences and the vision with your potential customers, saying that okay, hey, these are the reasons why it has happened. Okay, another one I'll just pick up from a security standpoint. So critical CV backbone aging is greater than 14 days at the vendor. So there is an issue with respect to the metric is mismatch happens. It is not meeting the expectation of your planned metric. When that is the case, then you once you learn it, you then look at actions with respect to fixing it. So you have patch windows, dark launch, communication with customers, what tools will you use in order to scan in the PR pipeline, what vendor incentives are we going to give in order to get this cleared out as soon as possible. The outcome is critical backlog is cleared, and we audit is auto-generated evidence packs for per patch. Is it making sense, guys? Case study 1, case study 2, case study 3. Any questions?
No,
We're primarily talking about quality control. That's all there is to it. And if the quality control is broken down, what actions do we take? And what is the outcome and what is the lesson from it? That's all we're trying to do here. There is another playbook that I have for the quality management. I'll just show that. I'll share this with you. So this is the quality management playbook. This sort of has step-by-step guide with respect to plan, assure, control, continuously improve. So one, you can look at the principles of what is the quality. It's primarily for the fitness of the purpose, adherence to the standard, and there needs to be having evidence. Then we look at basically the three pillars of the quality, which is quality planning, quality assurance, quality control. Right. So and then we look at verification and validation. Then intent with respect to the quality control or quality management is we basically want to prevent the defects, but it we want to avoid it. But there are cases where that defects do happen, and when it happens, we try to take those corrective measures. So, here is RACI for quality management. You define what are those roles available, and then you try to break this quality management into like 5 buckets and try to accordingly plan. Next, how does the end-to-end quality life cycle look like? So you are defining the quality objectives, you're defining the standards and the metrics and the acceptance criteria. You design the process, reviews, and automation to prevent defect. We're not trying to fix a defect. We're trying to basically prevent the defect as part of the assurance. Then, as part of the quality control, you want to measure the outputs via testing, inspection, and analytics. With respect to the how to, you want to define what your objectives are. Then you want to define what are the policies, what is part of your scope, what is the metric look like, what are those KPIs. For example, this you see, right? For change success rate, it is 98, more than 98%. For escaped defects, it's less than 3%. So that then quality assurance is more to do with enforcement, where we are saying okay, these are the guidelines, and this is something that we are supposed to be following for the, let's say, for peer review, for environmental readiness, automation, documentation. Next, quality control. In quality control, you have the unit contract integration. So these are different layers which are there, and for these layers, what are the focus that you will have? What will be the KPI based on which you are going to be measuring? You can RCA. We spoke about the RCA, so you can do an RCA to figure out where things are going bad, they're going south. Then dashboard reporting, implementation, templates. So quality management template is there. You can try this out later on. Next, reviewing the checklist. So there will be a checklist with our SMART goals, and based on that, we'll try to assess if it is looking in order or not. Then no go with respect to quality gates that we have. If in case we are not meeting the standards, then we might as well discard the um, product, or rather launch, until we have sorted the launch issues or quality issues. Right, so this is the quality management playbook. Any questions?
Yeah, I think we can customize some of those things, whatever is given to us.
Right.
That would be useful.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Intent is just to give you this template, and you should 100% customize this based on your requirement. Yeah. Okay. So if we are done with this, we'll move to the next part. So this is more to do with the post-implementation review and handover. So you're working on a scope, and while working on a scope, we were talking about PIRs earlier, why PIR and all of that. So PIR is basically a structured reflection post go live to assess the outcomes. So the intent with why we do the PIR is primarily with the intent that this an event has occurred, and we want to avoid this in future. We want to avoid a particular issue. um, um, Unforeseen circumstances have kicked in, and then we want to avoid them. That can be a case where now that this event has happened, how well we can actually document it into lessons learned. And the next time when you're actually starting a project, we refer to the lessons learned, so that we can avoid those instances, and maybe basically save up time as well. With respect to this, we have to have evidences. So we have like logs, KPIs, incidents, deployment metrics. When you're doing the handoff with, because it's the end of a project, so now you'll be doing a bit of a handoff from project to operations. Service acceptance criteria defined early. We should have a stakeholder map and get everybody's sign off done as well, that okay, job is completed. The process for the PIR is plan, collect data, analyze, RCA, workshop, kappa, publish, track. So if you're doing this right, we won't have any major challenges in managing this PIR. Okay. And evidence and data model for the PIR. There can be baselines and the actuals. What is the variance from what we had baseline to what we have achieved? So we had a schedule, we had a cost, we had a scope, we had a quality, and what is the number of variance that we have had. We review the KPIs also. We try to learn how well we are performing. Also review the user feedback to learn if the delivery has met the expectation of the customer or not. For that reason, we do the CSAT, customer satisfaction. NPS is nothing but the net promoter score. How likely is the customer or the client willing to refer us to their maybe colleagues or their friends, so that we can continue maybe doing, or rather do more business with other folks as well. um, then security, compliance, control, pass rate, audit, feed findings. When during the release, we'll look at the deployment data to learn what is going well, what is not going well. Are there any deployment issues or not? How many times we have actually done the rollback? Financial outcomes with respect to the variance, ROI, and unit economics. Okay, let me see if I can find something here. So a transition plan you can see here with respect to go live. So there's we go into the go live mode, and after that we move into hypercare. There is a stabilization, and then it is being handed over to the BAU. The PII report looks something like this: objectives and results. There is timeline and budget, incidents and changes, user feedback, security and compliance, benefits, lessons learned. Then handover, there is a handover checklist also. So these are the things that we need to be aware of when we are handing off to another team to manage. What may be very obvious for you may not be obvious for the person who's actually getting started on day one. So it's important for them to be important for us to ensure that they get it with respect to our documentation. It could be as simple as using the right file naming convention, or we are giving them the resources which they can easily open, not something which they can't. Then support escalation metrics is there. SLA, OLA, mapping, train and knowledge transfer plan. Assets, licenses, CMDB. What are these assets, and what are the assets which are in usage? What licenses do we have? What CMDB updates are there? What are the known errors in the database? So all that is documented. Example here is for post go live incident for PIR. So we'll just go through one example. In this example, you can see like context is like P1 outage 48 hours after go live. Root cause in config drift is there. So the response is emergency change restored in 35 minutes. Next is the PIR. We take the evidence, we do evidence review, and get into the 5 mode. We do after that we do a hot fix, hand over the runbook. Then outcome wise, we look at this activity, or that this issue should not be recurring in 90 days. That can become like an API KPI. And then lessons learned, bake deployment evidence into handover pack. So basically ensure that lessons learned is quite crystal clear. It might be useful to you or for someone else when they are doing this. With respect to metric, our change success rate. Right. So it's going on. So if you have to do this, right, as a practical exercise, you can pick a service. You can define the SLAs and OLAs, list items in the checklist, the way we were actually seeing in the checklist, draft the escalation metrics with L1, L2, L3 roles, and then map the KT knowledge transfer sessions, then identify the BAU acceptance criteria and sign off, then time box it to a particular time, and then sketch this out with respect to, okay, here are the 3 lessons learned that we have which could be useful for us in the future. Any questions, guys?
Hi, Abdul. Satish here.
Yeah.
Can you give me some tips of how we can improve the CSAT score?
So CSAT score, the question is very simple, but the answer is difficult. It's very broad. The CSAT scores are actually determined based on how well we are actually meeting the customer's requirement, right? There is a scope, and for that scope, we have gone about, meeting their expectation, there can be still a possibility that your CSAT might not be good enough. Even that is possible. So CSAT is, or rather, happens, or rather, it's much better when you are going above and beyond, and customer gets a feel of it. So let's put it this way: you have your scope, you go about doing your scope. It's like meeting their expectation. But if you're able to do something better than what they expected, give them that wow factor, give them that wow feeling. Okay, from a standpoint of let's say, from a standpoint of a KPI for a metric that you have identified, you have performed really well for one of the performance indicators. The performance of maybe the system was expected to be like in 10 seconds it's supposed to be responding, but it is not doing it in 5 seconds. That is a massive change. 10 to 5, let's say. Now people will be more productive. So whenever you're able to help your customer save their money or save their time, same or add some value into their business, your CSAT will automatically go up.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions? Any questions, guys?
Nothing, I think, so far.